caught this part of the video, you caught the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday night, the 2nd of January, 2020. 2020. Mike, what do you say? Do you say 2020 or 2020?
I say 2020.
2020?
Yeah. I don't know why. I just decided that right now.
We would not have said 1920. We would have said 1920, right? So it probably makes sense that we say 2020, not 2020. Think?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's these kinds of decisions that you have to make. Like as a podcaster, you're like, what are we going to call this thing? It's a brand new, well, it's not technically a new decade. This is the last year of the teens decade, which is really weird. I know the math shouldn't work that way, but it is. So it's January 2nd, 2020. I like that. And Joe, Ken, Ron, welcome in the chat room. If you caught this any other time than 8 p.m., or it's like 5 minutes before in the Central Time Zone, you've got the recorded, unedited edition. And hang tight, we're going to get started. We'll do some beer picks here in the very beginning. Mike's over there trying to figure something out. I don't know
sorry.
what he's working on. No, you don't have to pay attention. This is when I go blah, blah, blah. Tajoski sent us the s'more queen. Did you give that a try?
Yes.
You got it?
I saved some, though, for tonight.
Nice. Broke that out. Here's.
I'm actually going to go with the honey one first.
Yeah, the honey one is good.
Yeah.
So Joe, thank you for those. Not quite okay. When I first saw s'mores, I kind of was like overpowered chocolate and graham cracker, right? That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
This is more of the I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's got a very subtle chocolatey s'more flavor, not overpowering. I thought it was going to be too sweet. And
agreed. I taste a lot more chocolate than anything.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, and kind of more of a bitter chocolate.
Yeah, but you're right. A lot more subtle, not as sweet, which that's what I liked about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be kind of over the top sweet. So.
And then he also sent us the Love Honey, which is it's a Bach from Lost 40 Brewing, and this is
that was a good one.
So good. I think this is my last one of this. Let me check.
It was definitely.
Yeah, it is. Sadly, I was drinking those pretty fast. Yeah,
they're well, and rightly so. They were really, really good. I think he sent us the 6, so I think I gave you 3, and I kept 3.
You gave me 3,
and
it's so good.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is. It's kind of crisp and cool and refreshing, and not, it's kind of not heavy.
Right.
Yeah, kind of honey. Well, we'll get started here in just a few minutes, and again, Joe, thanks for sending the beers to us. We always appreciate that. If you got some local beers you want to share with us, you're always welcome to that. It's heavy freight. Like, beer is not. Joe, I appreciate you sending those. Thank you for those gifts. That is very, very nice of you to do that, and we appreciate it. Can't be the cheapest to send 3 6-packs, or was it 4? It's 4 6-packs to us. So, Joe, appreciate that. Thank you very much, Michael, Joe, Ken, Brian, and Ron. Welcome. If you're joining us live and you're not in the chat room, jump on in. First podcast of 2020. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. This is not, Mike, the podcast I had in mind 3 weeks ago when I was thinking about what would be you and I. We've got a bunch of guests lined up coming up, but not including Paul Byrne, who's next week. Not what I anticipated tonight, so I'm excited to kind of get to it. I had a really, really busy break, and there was a ton of tech in it. So I'm kind of excited to talk about it tonight. I'll try not to be a mic hog, but, jump in there when you.
Yeah, I've been the same way. Always over a break, it's me changing a bunch of stuff. So that's usually what I'm going to be talking about is I got bored and I had time, so I just changed stuff. That's what I do. Except for right now. So real quick before what you caught me doing, and if anyone in the chat, I know we only have a few people, it's before, so I use Boot Camp to run Windows and Mac on my Mac, right? So you can just boot into Windows. man, getting that clone to an external drive, because I'm running out of space on my internal SSD, and so I want to like get rid of that partition and put it on an external SSD. They do not make it easy to get that partition, the Windows partition that it makes, over to the new SSD. So I have been scratching my head. I've been down here for like an hour before. I was really hoping to have it wrapped up before the show, and then obviously it's nothing I'm doing is getting it to come over right. So I tell you, if anyone in the chat has done that, has moved a Windows Boot Camp partition off of the internal drive, let me know, because they do not make it easy on you. I could
What's
just
up?
wipe it, and do a new Windows install on this external, but I don't know. I don't know how much I have over there. I guess I probably could just do that. Probably be pretty easy. I might just do that.
Yeah, I've
How
never
do
done
you
that.
how do you remove a Windows 10 key from one install so you can use it again later?
You don't have the sticker or the original key that came with it. Usually that's on a sticker somewhere, or
Yeah,
it's in
I bought it
you
online somewhere.
you can try Belarc, BEL. Let me see. I think I've got an instance of it here. BEL. RC Belarc. No. Hold on. RC. It's called the Belarc Advisor. Do I have it? Let's see if I've got it on this one. No. Where do I download it? I must not have it on a PC available. Anyways, it goes and gets your keys, and I think it may get the Windows key as well while you're out there. So if you had Office installed or any computers that have keys associated with them, Belarc will find them and generally and report them to you.
Okay.
It's a free download. Works out pretty well. Yeah, Kevin Schoonover says welcome, Kevin, by the way. Tony, welcome. Kevin says Belarc will find it if it was an original Windows 10 key. So give that a try.
Yeah.
BELARC.
I got my key from, what's that, like, Penguin site you can get your keys from for really cheap? I think it's legal. I mean, I paid for them, but you
Yeah.
pay like $20 instead of the full,
Right.
Sketchy.
Sketchy.
Yeah, but it worked. It gave me
Tony
a full-
says a magical jelly bean still works too. I guess that's
Oh.
the name of a piece
Okay.
of software. I've never heard of that one before. How have I never heard of magical jelly bean? MAJICO. Jelly. Magical jelly bean, huh? Key finder. Well, there you go. Give that one a spin.
Key finder. Okay, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Apparently, I just need to do some
Free. Yeah.
do some googling.
Yeah, there you go. There's two for you. That if you can get them back, you will get them back. All right, we are at the top of the hour. You all set here?
I am ready to go.
Oh, I feel like I
Got
haven't done
distractions
this.
out of the way. I'm good.
I feel like I haven't done this in a while, and just
I
with all
haven't
the
done it in a while.
yeah, with all the breaks and
Yeah.
Christmas, and it was really nice to get a break. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of fun to take and not have last Friday. Although last weekend wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and I'll tell you why here in just
All
a
right.
second. So here we go. Let's start. I guess it would have helped if I would have gone live on Spreaker. We'll get them going as well. Welcome, Spreaker. We want to welcome you to, hopefully I'll get there. Hold
You're a
on. Home
little
Gadget Geeks.
overmodulated. I don't know if it's just me
Oh.
hearing you in my headphones. I could be me. So I don't know. Let's ask the chat. Chat, is he peaking a little bit?
How do I sound? Oh. That's weird. Can you hear me? 1, 2.
I can hear you.
That
Yeah.
was weird.
What happened?
It was, my sound was there and then it wasn't, and
Yeah, it was just a few times when you got right up on the mic, it was kind of like wah, 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 kind of a little bit. That's really low now.
check.
Okay. Alex is a little on his end too, so it wasn't just me.
1, 2.
Oh, now you're gone.
Yeah, like my mic broke.
It's like I can barely, but I'm picking you up from something.
Check.
Like I can hear that. It's just super quiet. So I don't know what it's picking up on.
Well, it's just like so you can't hear me a little bit, huh?
I mean, I can like
Barely hear me.
barely, like
Check.
I mean, it's definitely pulling from that mic. I heard that boom boom, but it was quiet. You didn't bump your mute switch, did you? On your microphone?
Check.
Okay.
Check. Check.
I think you found the problem. It seems like he knows who's causing it.
Check 1 2.
Oh, hey, there he's back. What was it? Now you got me curious.
I think that channel finally died.
Did it
On my
really?
mixer, yeah, or something. I don't know. I mean, it's a fairly new board, and I never touch it. I mean, something.
Tony said it's the all mic show. Later, Jim. You guys don't want that. Trust me. You do not want an all mic show.
Peace out, friends.
We would talk about routers and ham radio the whole time. And you guys would be bored.
Okay, check
bored.
1 2. Check.
Perfect
How's that?
now.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep.
You know, I had to move it over to channel 2 at work too. Maybe I talk so much it just wears the channel out.
Could be.
But I'm officially over on channel 2. That's kind of weird. Good thing I have.
Good thing
I
you
got
have an open
4.
channel.
I got 4 more channels to go. This board is good for the next 12 or 13 years.
Walk through them.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Glad that died right when it did, and not.
Yeah, no kidding. And it fixed your modulation problem too.
Good.
You're good.
Yeah, so it must have just been getting ready to go or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
Talk a little bit louder.
1 2 3 4 5
Say
6.
okay again.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. You're good.
Am I still too hot? Okay.
That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
All right.
Perfect.
Little, nothing like setting it up live. I do talk loud. So, okay, let's do this thing. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 428, recorded on January 2nd, 2020. Here at Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a chilly, but Mike, kind of winter's here, but it's not. Last night, my daughter and I smoked a cigar. We enjoyed a drink on the deck. It was 40, but the deck heater kept us pretty warm. Pretty nice for December, January, right?
Yeah, not bad at all. I'll take this weather any day.
Yeah, no, super great. Of course, one of the things we did, actually, just as a kind of a side note, I downloaded or installed the Flight Radar 24 app on my phone, and it will bring up a map. So when we're sitting out on the deck, it'll bring up a map of all the flights that are, we're the flyover state, right? So when I sit on the deck, I watch these planes go over all the time, and I'm always kind of wondering, I wonder who's in that plane, or who is that? What is that plane? So last night for about an hour, we just watched planes go by and brought it up on again, Flight Radar 24 is the app. You can actually click on the flight, and it will tell you the flight number and where it originated from and where it's going and how fast it's going and what altitude it's at and the airline that it is. It's a super cool flight tracking app. And for us here in Nebraska, a great way to see, like we watched a plane take off out of Epley, and it was climbing, it was 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, as it's going by us down to Dallas. And you could see I fly that, twice a year. I make that flight down that path. It's pretty cool.
Now, how in sync were those? Was there a delay at all?
No, really good.
See, and I've always been so curious about that, just the legality of it. And you would think just for safety reasons they would put a delay in, right? So you couldn't know exactly where a plane was in the air.
Yeah. I literally, Mike,
public information.
Yeah, we could sit there and I could be like, okay, a plane is going to come out of this general area. And
it just does.
There it was.
That's
and we'd bring it across. And so it was really cool. That was just one of the fun things last night, as it was beautiful. 41. I don't think it's 36 now. So 40 is about the break point for us on the deck with the deck heater, but we enjoyed that last night. Of course, we'll post the show with world-class show notes out at theaverageguy.tv. HGG428.tv. Just a couple reminders. Don't forget you can join us live on our mobile app, and many of you do. HomeGadgetGeeks.com is the way to get that done. We want to say thanks to Maple Grove Partners for sponsoring the show as well. Christian's actually really stepped up his game over the last couple of weeks and made some major updates to Maple Grove Partners. Not only do they sponsor us, but they do a great job over there of making sure everyone who needs it gets hosted for a great price. $10 will get you started on any plan. Contact maplegrovepartners.com if you get your hosting. Mike, you have a site hosted there as well, right?
I do, and he makes it just so easy. Even the setup process. The thing I love about his service is the email, actually. So I run my email for that domain through him. Drop dead simple, works with all my mail clients and everything. I use them for everything, and it's just the best service.
Lots of great conversations going on in the Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. You can join us on Facebook, theaverageguy.tv/Facebook. And Mike, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. How did let's see, we didn't podcast after Christmas.
Right.
Everything go well there for you Christmas time?
Yeah, the Christmas. When we had so many Christmases, kind of all over the board. We were down at the farm a lot. We were up here in Omaha, but got to see all the family and spent a ton of time. I took the week off, so after Monday, and so just had a lot of time. Hannah took the rest of the week off too, so it was nice. We rarely get days where Hannah, especially because she works at a hospital, we rarely get days where we can both take time off and just be at home and enjoy that time. So it was a solid week, and I love just kind of that chill. The Thursday, Friday was my favorite. It was just me and Hannah and the boys. We went ice skating. We just did stuff pretty much both days, just all day, just hung out with the family.
Yeah, nice. A big thanks to Dave Jackson, who joined us right before Christmas. We had Joel from Life Door couldn't make it at the last minute. Dave came on, and so if you haven't listened to 427, that is Dave, and we talk a little bit about all the gear that you might need if you're an at-home worker. I think it's really important that you have good audio in what you're doing with that, and podcasters, I think, are doing it better than anybody when it comes to good audio. So if you haven't listened to it yet, theaverageguy.tv/HGG427. Mike, Christmas for us was great. I got a lot of great gear. I'm going to talk about it here in a second. Some I bought myself. I'll just admit it. Some of the stuff I bought myself. But we had a little incident here at the Collison house where on Friday night, so Friday night after Christmas, 27th, I think that was, we went to bed and woke up, and I did ask the podcast coach with Dave Jackson and had fully intended to go get a workout in at work, and I jumped in my car, and there were things a little moved around in there, and I was like, well, that's weird. What is this napkin doing on my seat? It wasn't where I left it when I came out. So, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to toss it over.
Well, first off, that's a great sign that you keep your car clean, if you would notice a napkin out of place. Because let me tell you, my car, I would not notice if a napkin was out of place. I probably wouldn't notice if the car seats were missing out of my car. So yeah, that's good that you keep your car that clean.
Yeah, there were some napkins out of place. Yeah. And then I always grab my phone and I plug it in. It's one of those things, I plug it in. I got a little, I have a little metal plate here that then I attach it to a magnet on my dashboard. And I always plug it in, always. And I go to reach for the cable, and I'm like, cable's gone. That's kind of weird. So then I go down, and the armrest is open. That's kind of weird, right? So I start looking around like, oh, like someone's been in my car, right? So I immediately think, oh my gosh, the other cars. So I go out, and unfortunately, we left them all unlocked. Or maybe fortunately, but they probably would have moved on. But we had some folks come rummaging through. All three cars that were out were unlocked. My son is actually funny. They didn't take very much, maybe a few dollars in cables. It's pretty much all they got in the process. We don't keep very many things in our car. My son, who's in Japan right now visiting, his car is parked here, and he said, "Hey, did they take my parking pass?" I said, "No." Sunglasses still there? Yeah, they're still there. He goes, "What about everything in the center console?" And I said, "Oh no, that's cleaned out." He's like, "Haha, joke's on them. Those were all broken cables."
It's weird they wouldn't take the sunglasses.
No, I know they didn't.
Right?
Or the garage door openers, which are there, right?
Yeah.
And So,
Which tells me they're like
no, it's
kids.
kids.
Right?
Kids.
It's
Yeah,
kids.
it's kids.
It's punk
Just
kids. Yeah.
it's out kids just checking cars, right? To
Yeah.
see, and fortunately or unfortunately, mine were all unlocked, and
Probably, fortunately, you don't know. I mean, they could have been
No.
breaking windows. They might not. They might not have been that motivated. But
No, there were no other broken windows on the street that
Okay.
night, so it got me thinking, hey, they've been locked. Well, we're really fortunate that we don't keep anything in our cars for the most part. I mean, it's we just don't. There's some cables and stuff, and Sarah's going to need to rebuy some cables, and it's going to cost me $25. But it got me. It kind of shook me. Like I came back in the house, and I was really upset. Like you just kind of feel like.
violated.
Someone's been in your house, type deal. And I had trouble getting back on track the rest of the day. Well, one of the weird things, I always keep a cam. We call it the package cam. So it sits in the spot where packages are delivered, and it's always just watching. Its job is just to watch that one spot where packages get delivered. It also has access to the driveway. You can actually see it from the driveway, which I think has kept a lot of mischief out. During the Christmas holiday, in the Facebook, both in the Facebook and the Discord group, I had posted a deal for the Ring doorbell, Gen 2 doorbells. $80 would get you both a Echo Show 5 and the Ring doorbell. And I bought it. I took myself up on that deal that I posted it, and I bought it, and it came in just before Christmas. And I had intended to install it Saturday. So Friday, I moved the package cam to the backyard because that's where it's now the backdoor cam in preparation for Saturday afternoon installing the Ring doorbell. Well, guess what happened, right? All that happened when the camera was down, when it was gone. It was in the backyard, not here, not in the front. And I had not put the Ring doorbell on the front door just yet, right?
What are the odds?
I know.
Of all the nights, I mean, how many times has your car got broken into?
Never in the
The
20
one
years.
night is
I know.
the night you have swapped your camera.
Well, and maybe the reason over the last couple of years is we've always had a camera in that window, and people look right. Today when the UPS guy was delivering packages, or the Amazon guy, they're not UPS anymore. They're Amazon folks. When he walked up, by the way, he didn't walk on my grass, which was super considerate of him. He walked around the driveway, up the stairs, and then when he left, he did the same thing. How do I know? Because I got cameras, and we'll talk
Right.
about that here in a second. But he checked out both cameras that were both the Ring, which got installed, the door cam that got installed, and then I put a new camera in the package cam spot. Remember those D-Links we bought a couple years ago? In fact, it was like 2016.
Still
They were
use
on
it.
sale.
It's on my back patio.
That one came out. It had been in the garage, and I moved that out and made that the package cam. He looked at them. And so I think thieves or people that are looking notice those kinds of things. And I think actually having cameras are a deterrent. So that day, install the doorbell. By the way, installing a Ring doorbell, this is the battery version, not the wired version, but the battery version. So I had it up and working in an hour. I mean, it was super easy to do, super easy to put in. Works. The app is awesome. I'm sure for some of you camera buffs and other stuff, there's things wrong with it. I never find those things that are wrong with it.
No, but I'd agree. Even the wired one, when I did my Simply Safe doorbell, same exact thing. I mean, dead simple, right? The hardest part was taking off the former doorbell. But same as you, had everything up and running in about half an hour, I'd say, on that Simply Safe. And that was the wired version. So
Right.
Not bad at all. When you do
No,
those.
really, really easy. Great cam, good resolution. It looks good. The other thing I noticed today is that when the UPS or when the Amazon guy was delivering, typically they would put them up against the house or the door directly at our house. He saw the cam and then he put it out far enough where the cam could pick it up. And I thought, wow, I think. Now, we always get our packages right up against the door. Today, it was just far enough out I could see it on the cam.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay. So maybe these delivery drivers, because they're setting it down, they're taking a picture of it. That picture's coming to you for delivery, right? That's kind of the way it works now, so they can prove where it's at. But they put it in view of the cam now, of the doorbell cam. Now, he also looked at the cam that was facing the area of the entire porch. I can see everything on my porch now. And so he could have put it in either spot, and I'd been able to see it. But it was kind of interesting that the Amazon guy put it in the field view of the
Well, you
got
got to think for them how many calls that saves, right? You get home, it says your package was delivered, it's not there. Well, was it the UPS guy not dropping it off, or was it stolen? as long, if he's placing it, he could probably say, you know, like, well, or if he knows you have cameras, that you're gonna go watch them
Right.
and be like, oh, it was stolen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's one thing I've always said is a lot of people when they're looking at these cameras, when I'm reading the forums, they're saying, oh, I really wish it had a brown version because that would blend in with my house better. If you can get the spouse on board with having a little bit of an eyesore, and you can get, you know, my ones are dome. They look, I mean, I think they look professional, right? They don't look decorative, but they're not supposed to. They're supposed to catch their eye. So I use the opposite color. I use the most blatant color you can because you're so right. I catch people. I mean, my house is littered with cameras, so it's really easy for them to see. But all the time, people walking by are always looking up at the cameras, and even if they're just walking the dog, you notice you catch their eye and they'll look up at it. So yeah, I agree. Always, I think, go with one that maybe stands out more because that's what you're going for, really. Because even if I see someone steal something, what are the odds that they're going to be able to use that footage to find the guy? Not very good.
No.
Right?
No. It's a deterrent.
So it's a deterrent, and it's more for stuff like this, right? Like, oh, my Amazon package is here. Oh, you know, what happened? How did Petey get out? Oh, look at that. Someone went and opened the gate, and they left it open, and those sort of things.
Today I saw a squirrel come across the cam, which was super cool. But yeah, deterrent, I think, in a lot of ways. So as I put the doorbell cam up and as I put the package cam up, I kind of realized, like, you know, the driveway is, while I can kind of see it, I really can't. And it's got I've got a deck and a railing in the way, and then it drops down pretty deep for me, and there's stuff that is hidden. So if I was ever going to buy cameras, this is the best time to buy them. Because if I just say, I need another camera, Sarah just says, yes, go buy it, right?
Right.
So I said, hey, I'm going to buy a stick-up cam. And I kind of looked at some things like, okay, what do I go with? Do I get a Wise cam, or do I get another Z-Moto cam, or and I just kind of decided, I'm already going to be in the Ring space. I looked at the stick-up cams, and Mike, another real, I got the battery version. I got the white again, so it kind of sticks out. And it couldn't have been easier to install. Really, 2 screws into the side of the house, a few caps, charge the batteries, slam them in, attach it to the app, and you were up and running. The one hang-up I had is that the Wi-Fi is in the middle of the house. That has to go through a concrete wall and the exterior wall to get to the stick-up cam. And it just wasn't powerful enough. I was not getting very good. And I tried moving I have just one Bitdefender box in the house. The router is the Wi-Fi router. It's just that 2.4 and 5 on a single. You can set it so it just determines what you need. This actually caused me to split the 2 signals out. So I have an SSID now. I have a 2.4 SSID and a 5 gig SSD. So I could assign these. A lot of these cams like the 2.4. They don't want to be on the 5.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I found the solution was that Ring Chime Pro for $50. So what that acts as is a ringer in areas where you don't have one, and it's a Wi-Fi extender. It actually worked. It was like, I bought it, plugged it in. It literally just plugged into the outlet in my ceiling in my garage. Came on. I did a few setups, attached it to the network. Video problem solved. At that point, I was like, wow, this is. I mean, I was really careful how I unboxed that because I was getting ready to take that thing back to Best Buy if it hadn't,
right.
If it didn't work.
And that's another great tip when you were talking about 2.4 and 5. So one other quick tip on that too is because I've done the same thing. If you use Unify Gear, everyone who uses Unify Gear, the access points knows that you can configure multiple SSIDs on each. But what you can also do, so for me, I have actually 3 different SSIDs in my house. I have my main network, my guest network, and one for my security cameras. Well, the one for the security cameras, I have it because you can set per SSID which radios you want it to use. So for my guest and my main, it's 2.4 and 5, same name. So that way on my devices, I don't have to pick and choose. Right. And then on the camera SSID, that's just using 2.4. So if you're using something like Unify or something like it where you can really granularly control those, just make a camera network separately, and then or just an SSID too. It doesn't even need to be a separate network if you don't want to. I have a security subnet, and no internet's allowed to flow out of that subnet except for from my DVR box.
Yep.
That way I know any of these Chinese cameras I put on my network, they can go and talk to the NVR, but they cannot reach out to the internet. So kind of 2 tips there. Check out your SSIDs and if you can control that. And number 2, I really suggest Ring, reputable ones. I mean, And you need the internet for those. That's the hard part, right? Those go straight to the internet. But if you're using one like Sighthound or Blue Iris, restrict all internet to that subnet and then allow internet from the one IP address of the NVR on the network. It's a really good way to control that security a little bit. And I've noticed if I open it up, these sort of cameras like to ping something. I don't know what they're pinging. It could just be a time server or something like that, but not really know. So why not? Why not? They don't need to go out to the internet for anything. Now, when I do firmware upgrades, I do sometimes have to turn that rule off and then turn it right back on when I'm done doing the firmware upgrade.
Yeah, I was actually surprised as I get into my Bitdefender box. By the way, here's another tip. Is I was struggling the night, so this would have been Sunday night that I was trying to get the stick-up cam installed. Wasn't working very, very well. I had Monday off, so I kind of planned to go by Best Buy on Monday and pick up the Chime extender. But I thought, maybe I should split my networks. So here's a tip. Don't split your networks from your phone at 12:30 at night and break all your SSIDs. Knowing that I was getting up early in the morning to go work out, and as the girls woke up, none of the Echo devices would work to be able to run wall lights, right? That's what I was thinking.
The name changed.
Yeah, I changed the name on that stupid thing.
Yep.
So I had to come downstairs and reconfigure things to make it work. Like, don't do that from bed at 12:30.
and on that note, two things. One, Tony asked real quick if you ceiling mount a Unify AP, which I do. I have two ceiling mounted AC Pros, and he said he's heard that they'll cover 2 floors. Depending on your flooring, I think that's totally true. I am in my basement, and I get perfect 100% coverage from my access points that are in the main room, in the main level, on the ceiling of the main level. Now, granted, my basement's unfinished, so there's flooring, obviously, but there's not like another, there's no ceiling to this floor, but perfect coverage. Number 2, I've learned too. So, Jim, you're talking about switching SSIDs, and I did this recently. If you decide, I want to be really secure, I want to have an IoT subnet, an IoT SSID, where all those things are going to live and be really controlled, it's much easier to leave that with the same name because those things are such a pain to reprogram the Wi-Fi in. You have to figure out what app it was. Was it the Amazon app? Was it Alexa app? Was it all this stuff? And some of them you have to log into the IP address. So just leave that the same and create yourself a new network that's your secure network.
Yeah.
So for me, I had my example network, and so I left the example network and then made an example network /S for secure, so I know it's my secure one. So leave it if you can, and then create, and then that way, because how many devices are you really going to put on it? Your laptops, your phones, which are super easy to plug in a new Wi-Fi name. It's
such a good example because I had put both the doorbell, I'd put the security screw in it, and the stick-up cam.
And then you can't reset it.
You got to go inside both to reset them.
Yep.
So yeah, Ryan says that in the chat room. So he
you
goes,
could have even named your 2.4 network, kept that the same name, just without anything.
And that's what I did. That's what I did.
Yep. And then you change your 5 gigahertz, and then you can plug everything onto the 5 gigahertz.
Network name 5G is what I titled it.
Exactly.
Ryan says that's how you're up all night. You're up early to fix everything. Well, there's Ryan. There's a lot of truth to that. Brian says the cams as well as these Echo devices are contagious. Start with one and they multiply. Okay. No joke. So with the doorbell came a nearly free, it was $10, Echo Show 5. So I got a second because I bought an Echo Show 5 back when they were like $20, I think, right? And then the stick-up cam came with a free Amazon Echo Dot. That's, $25, $25 to $50, depending on where you buy it. And then we picked up another free one. Tajoski sent me and you a Google Home Mini.
I know. I was going to talk about that because I now have them side by side, and I've been kind of going back and forth between the two to see kind of the differences because I have an Echo Dot and the Mini right next to each other.
So yeah, they just start all these devices just start popping up in your house, so you have to be super careful.
I mean, how long is it till 250 addresses on a single subnet isn't going to be enough? Because most people have never considered having 2 subnets or opening that up to have I would never have thought of that.
I'm thinking about all the different IP addresses that are just on my desk.
That's what I mean.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about. And then lights, like these
Echo.
Rise lights, are not through a hub.
Right.
They are individually connected to your Wi-Fi, so each of those is an IP address.
Yeah. Lowe's was having a sale on Philips tunable lights this week. You could get 2 for $20, $10 each. Not too bad for the A19 lights that you can put in. They're Wi-Fi enabled as well. They don't go through the Philips Hue router. They're Wi-Fi enabled, right? Well, man, install a couple of those, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do net traversal. So right on some of these as we think about it. Okay, so I got all those set up. I had mentioned I had that D-Link thing from a couple years ago. That came down to be the package cam. 2 Z Motos, and we did a program on this, right? I had that Z Moto camera, that little square one outdoor. That's the one that had been the package cam. It's an outdoor camera, and I actually thought it was pretty sad that I was using it indoors. So I took it out because it's got a great night vision on it, and it should be outside. It's waterproof, it's weatherproof, right? So I'd move that to the backyard. And then I bought that Z Moto Spot, which it pivots 360. It's really meant to be inside where you want 360 access to your house so you can check on kids or dogs or those kinds of things. And I'd taken the D-Link out of the garage. So I put that Spot, or whatever it's called. We'll just call it a Spot for now. And I had thrown it out so I put it out into the garage. So I got all the coverage I did. So I went from really 2 cams to 5 pretty quickly. And then I started thinking, Mike, now I got to manage all this stuff, right? So the Ring app is pretty good, but it doesn't talk to the Z Moto app. And the Z Moto app is pretty good, but it doesn't talk to Ring or Sighthound. Ring, I can't get on Sighthound. The D-Link camera is really best. Like, D-Link has not upgraded their software in a while. So really that's best on Sighthound because that's RTMP, right? And
RTSP.
And RTSP.
Yep.
So I kind of had a little bit of a nightmare on my hands as you start to think, and I'm not saying I've solved this, but it came down to this. So I put Ring. I have a Amazon Fire 7. I'll take that comment off there. An Amazon Fire 7 device that runs the Ring screen really nicely. So that is there. Then I have an old Samsung Galaxy 4 Note. That was my wife's phone. I put the Z Moto app on that one. So that is right there. And those sit here at my desk. I can see those anytime. Of course, I can get to all of them off my phone. So when I'm remote, I can do it that way. Then I have a monitor set up here that's running Sighthound on the studio PC because that's where that runs. Then I installed a second monitor right here. So like you, because I wanted to be like you, Mike Weger, I wanted to have a monitor where I could see my Sighthound stuff going all the time. So I can look up right here and see the front door cam, which is on Sighthound. Yeah. So it's a little convoluted at this point, like having 3 apps and all kinds of notification, but it kind of works for now. Like I'd like to get it all in one spot, but...
and I struggle with that too because there's pros and cons to each. So my setup is I have 9 cameras all on Sighthound. And then I have the only thing outside of Sighthound is my Simply Safe doorbell because I tried really hard to try and find a doorbell that would just have an RTSP stream that I could use as Sighthound. But really, when you think about the doorbell, the whole feature is like when they ring it, all the alerts. So I decided, you know what? I'll have 2 different systems. I'll have Sighthound and I'll have Simply Safe. And Simply Safe also came with an indoor camera. So I'm kind of like you. I have kind of 2 main systems I check. I think, it depends on who I'm talking to. And what I'm recommending for any person. If this is someone I'm going to not be able to help in the future, just a random person off the street, what's kind of your tech background, and do you have extra spare computers around? If not, go with Ring, go with something like that, and just kind of go all in on one system. But I've always, for probably this community, I think you really have to give consideration to though going full into like a Blue Iris or Sighthound, only because of what you just mentioned. All of the cameras, if you're using them with Blue Iris, first of all, you can buy a ton of different cameras. And with all different price ranges, you can get the cheap Chinese stuff that works great. I have a few of those. I have a few of the high dollar ones. I have a whole mixed bag. And the great part about that, Jim, is you were talking about my monitor up here, and I do it right above this screen is a monitor. It's just a nice simple 4 grid. That's not even using Sighthound. It's the same cameras that go to Sighthound, but this is just a Raspberry Pi that can pull in 4 RTSP streams and put them in a nice little grid. It doesn't record, all I just need to do is view. And so I can take that Raspberry Pi and I can just copy that SD card and go put Raspberry Pis wherever I need them. It just opens you up to a lot more options, but it goes back to what you said earlier, the convenience of running those cameras that you have, right? They're battery powered. Like, that's fantastic. I think it would be really hard to find one of those for my system. All of mine, I had to go and hardwire. All of mine are PoE, and so I had to run wire to all the different corners of the house. And so me adding a camera is a weekend project, whereas for you, you probably had that up in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so for you, that 10 minutes, you switching between apps probably doesn't cause you too much grief.
No, I actually just put the apps in a folder on my phone, and I get notifications when they go off, and you don't need to worry about the apps at that point. I actually don't think having different cameras from different ecosystems is that big of a deal. Now, when we think about the automation, I'm going to talk about this here in a second.
Well, one thing.
Yeah,
Well, I think the only thing there is subscription fees. If you're paying for the recording, you could end up paying multiple subscription fees.
That is true.
Right.
Yeah,
it's the only one I
that
can
is
really
true.
think of.
No, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that, so I'll have to kind of think through. The Ring is actually really reasonable. $3 a month. You can pay $30 a year for the minimum.
Per camera?
No, for the whole thing.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. And then I think I'll have to double check on that. But then $10, the most expensive plan is $10 a month or $100 a year, and that's actually super reasonable, right? We've had those guys on here way back in the day. They're trying to keep these plans pretty reasonable to get that done. I need to check my options. Did you want to add to that?
No, go ahead. I'll finish up later.
Okay. So, I really can't, at least at this point. I know it's going to start annoying me after a while, but, these things won't last forever, and I'll start replacing them pretty quick. And then I can start bringing them in, kind of gives me a chance to kind of get into the ecosystem, back into the ecosystem. I had home security before, but I never really took it very seriously. I set the cameras up, and then I kind of, one of the things I've loved about Sighthound is the recording. And so, I actually set up a bunch of disk space this weekend to be able to record that and go back through and watch it, and the resolution on it is really good, and it's a plugged-in cam, so I never have to worry about replacing the battery on that one, and it's got a good view of the street, and there's lots of things for consideration kind of in that. One of the things I did do is I was installing the stick-up cam. Right below it is a security light. And it had been a motion sensor on there, and at some point in time, the motion sensor stopped working because somebody jammed a stick into it or something and broke it, right? And so I was moving one of the lights, one of the lights was kind of high and it was blocking where I put the stick-up cam. And as I was moving one of the lights, it was a plastic. When I bought this whole unit, it was plastic. It literally, Mike, I just touched it and it broke. The plastic had been up there for 10 years maybe, and it was super brittle. Plastic happens in Nebraska, right? So I ended up getting, not necessarily a tech gadget, but I did end up getting and I'll go full screen on this one so you guys can see.
I'm addicted to those, Jim.
It almost looks like a Star Wars character, right?
It does, yeah. I love that you brought those lights up.
LED on the front here, motion sensing, $30 on Amazon. Not rocket science or necessarily super techy. 3-wire, plug it in, easy to use. But I will be replacing those lights up there as well. One of the things that gave me the advantage, those big round lights that I'd had in there, what do we call it, spotlight or floodlights? They had a really high profile, and so I didn't have a lot of room for the stick-up cam. With these now, I get a lot lower of a profile and way more energy efficient.
Way more, and usually brighter than what you were paying for.
Yeah.
And so I'm a huge. This is kind of my. I love home security, and home security in all senses of home security, like having a plan with your family for a burglary, armed robbery. Kind of what is your plan, right, to defend your home, and the first step of that is always to make sure your house isn't a target in the first place, right? It's great to have that plan for if someone breaks in, what is our plan? But let's just make sure that our house isn't even targeted. All you need to do is make the other house across the street look more appealing than your house. And lighting is such an easy, especially nowadays with LEDs and how cheap those. You said $30. I mean, that is nothing, and that lights up a space, especially. And so motion detected lights are my favorite thing to anywhere you can add them. Go for it. And I have some really cheap solar powered LED ones, so because I didn't have any power run to the spot where I was going to put them. But it's over in these tiny little corners where someone could be hiding, could get in there and look into our windows. And so as soon as anyone walks in there, if they can't hide in the bushes without being lit up like a, because it's just in this corner. And as soon as that motion detects it, it doesn't even have to be that bright. But it was a $10 little thing that I put in there that really helped. I love those lights. Anything motion detected lights, man. I could nerd out on home security and home defense. Really, home defense especially. That could be a whole segment, whole
Kind of
show.
a-
in
well,
itself.
we're going to make most of this
Yeah.
show about it, just to be honest
Well,
with
and
you.
so the only thing I'll mention about the while we're talking about security, so we were talking about multiple systems. So the things you also got to remember is if you really go all in on something like Ring, just make sure you have the upload bandwidth on your internet. Because the one thing I really like about running SiteHound is that it doesn't take any of my bandwidth. So no internet bandwidth is taken up because it's all just going LAN to the MVR. So I've had a few people who have gone all in on these Rings, and they have like 6 cameras, and they only have like a 10 or 5 megabit upload, and they cannot do anything else on their network because these cameras are putting out quite a bit. I mean, they're 1080p cameras. Those are putting up quite a lot of numbers when it comes to bandwidth. So just when is really the overall theme here is plan out before you really jump into this. I wouldn't, because a lot of people I think just go to Best Buy and grab a camera, and they don't really think about what ecosystem do I want to be in. Do I want it to be going over the internet? Am I going to stick with this? So it's all these things you just got to really plan out before you jump into one ecosystem.
Well, and they're kind of like me. They get in the situation where something happens to you, and then you're just in reactionary mode, and you're
Right.
not necessarily thinking it all the way through. You're just
Yeah.
like, I need a camera now, and I'm going to watch it straight for the next 24 hours kind of deal, because you just need to make yourself feel good. By the way, this is aluminum casing, so we won't have that problem again of this thing snapping, this plastic snapping. Mike, one of the things where I want to get some feedback from listeners, and I really want this not necessarily in our chat room live, but if you're watching this on YouTube, put it in the comments down below. Or if you're in our Discord or in our Facebook group, I'll take those there. You can reference it later. One of the things I want to do, and this light is currently also connected to the porch light, which are both now, well, this will be motion sensing, but the porch light is not. It's just a light that's up there. One of the things I think I want to do is put them on a switch, on a smart switch, so that I can, if I leave the house and I forgot to turn on I forgot to turn them on, I can turn them on. But not necessarily for that. I want to create some home automation bits with sun up and sun down, because I don't want to replace right now. I don't want to replace the light that's over the porch with a motion sensing sun up, sun down. By the way, this has that as well.
Okay.
I want to leave it in place, and I want to mess with switches.
Could you
So-
just do a smart bulb in that one, and then leave
yeah.
the switch always on?
Well, but here's the deal. I really want to monkey with a smart switch. Like,
Okay.
so this gives me a reason to put a
As
smart
in,
switch
and you
in.
don't mean just the outlet, you like the actual switch.
No, the actual switches.
I've been wanting to
Yeah.
play with those too, so that's a great question
Yeah.
because I want to know if people are finding they're actually reliable. Do they work well? I have not used a switch as of yet.
A Wemo, I think it's Wemo, has and I need a 3-way switch because it's controlling on and off from both upstairs and downstairs. So if you have a recommendation for me, love to. And Ken asked, do you have a neutral wire in the house wiring? I don't know, Ken. I don't think so, which may cause problems when we do these smart switches. So love to hear about that. That's a discussion I want to take offline, either down in the comments here on YouTube, throw it in the Discord group, throw it in the Facebook group. More of a conversation I'd rather do along those lines. The other thing this caused me to do is get my Habitat, right? Remember Habitat? We had them.
Oh,
How
yeah.
long? How
Yep.
long ago was that? Was it? It's like 9 months ago, maybe.
Had to be. I think it was
Back in the
early
spring?
19. Yeah.
Never really got that thing working, and used this as an opportunity. I kind of thought, gosh, I got this thing sitting around. I should probably figure out how to make this crazy Habitat thing work. So let me just prove to you, just so that you know that I actually did this thing. Here, we'll share the screens with you. Here I've got every sync. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we talk about. That's another conversation. But there's the Habitat dashboard set up right now. I've created a little tab for the time. I've got a light section. I've only put one light here on Habitat, so this is the litter box light, which I have full control over. I can make that thing dim or loud. Right now, the cat is freaking out. He's like, "What are
Yeah.
you doing to the light, Dad?" And one of the cool things, so you can do lights and door locks, and there's some other things. I don't have many of the things that I would need for this, but it also controls your Chromecast, which is kind of cool. So you can control the volume on your Chromecast. It'll even tell you what the media source that's coming in on that Chromecast. So I set up a box for the volume that's right here, and I set up, this would say YouTube if I was watching YouTube or whatever, I'm Plex if I wanted to do it that way. So, yeah, so many of you, we did the show. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on Habitat now, but just for transparency's sake, I did get the Habitat up and running. I'll continue to be looking at it and devices. Mike, that's another thing to consider. Like, the beauty of the Habitat is you can kind of get everything in a single dashboard.
Yeah.
I actually installed it on a PC that's touchscreen to make it even easier. And Habitat has some home automation stuff, has some automating things. It's not the only thing that will automate your IoT devices, but it is a thing. And so it kind of got me thinking, like, okay, I need to get this thing up and running and figure this thing out. It's a little less tech friendly. Like, you have to be pretty technical to get this Habitat thing kind of running at times. But I can see where they're going with it. Like, after using it now, and I was thinking back to the interview that we did with those guys, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I get this now. I see. And by the way, gotten a ton better since we had them on, I think back in the spring.
Yeah, because I've really settled on Amazon or Google kind of being kind of the hub essentially for all of that. And I tell you, so because of the fantastic gift from Tajoski, I was actually testing out just before the show, adding all my lights into the Google Home ecosystem. And man, that was pretty slick. And all the options that it can do and the routines and skills. And so really with those two, those have been their routines and their things that they've been getting better at are pretty good. You can build a pretty cool automated workflow with Amazon. I haven't tried it with Google yet. But those routines in Amazon, those are pretty nice.
Well,
play music here, turn off this light here, do this here with this command or this time or this trigger. Pretty cool.
And that's the $64 million question, Mike, is now you can do a lot of the same things. You know, the Amazon devices and the Google devices, they're very similar in their automation space and what they're doing. You could get a Habitat to do some of that kind of for you. You can create some if this, then that routines that are built in. You can do this in a lot of the apps that you get. So the Philips Hue app is trying to be a single hub for you to do automations that are in. The D-Link app that you have tries to be a home automation device for all the things that you have. But they only work with their products in most of those cases. And so, right, you're limited on that side.
But that's what I love about Amazon and Google is that they're really, I mean, there are they control a lot of stuff, right? Like, I have not found a smart bulb yet that cannot be controlled by either one of those. So what's next is, can you guys get my security camera footage in here too? Right now, I don't want, because the automation there lives in the cloud. So that works really well for, bulbs and switches and playing music. I do not want all my video stuff. The whole reason I have Sighthound is so I control that video. I found, Jim, that for me, you would think I was either like a full like privacy hardcore, don't give any of your stuff to the cloud, like especially because I'm like Nextcloud and I'm Sighthound and all that stuff. And then there's other ones I'm like, nah, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. The convenience of some of these are worth it for me. Mm-hmm. And so for some of the automation, I'm totally fine trusting with, Google's cloud and Amazon's cloud. I am not there yet with video. Just because I have started adding some in-the-house cameras. And I don't know, I haven't gotten on board with that yet. I'm sure I will in the future. The convenience factor will be good. But while I have the hardware in a rack to run all this stuff, might as well use it.
Yeah. Let's get to the chat room really quick. A couple questions came in while we were talking. Alex says, any reason besides price you didn't use the Ring floodlights with camera combined? Okay. So when I was making the purchase, I didn't know my lights were broken. Like, they were still fine. It was when I got up to this location, I realized, the motion sensor doesn't work anymore because the motion sensor's broken. And then as soon as I touched the light and it broke the arm, I mean, Mike, it literally just crumbled. It didn't break. It like crumbled on me. Again, plastic in really cold environments does not survive more than a year or two. And so at that point, then I was like, and actually, I think those Ring with the floods that I would have gotten all in one would have been $200. And I did it for $130. So price, that's kind of why I did that. So, Alex, great question. And I did look at those. I almost bought, I think you can get those refurbed. You can get the box that's got a flood in it. So it's a cylinder, and then it's got two lights on the side of the camera that come on as a flood. One, I don't think they're as bright as I want them to be. You can get those for like $179, I think, refurbed. So there's some price options there, but Alex, that's kind of why I went with that. Ken reminds me, without neutral wires, he'd asked me that question. It's an old house, so I got to think this through. They're very limited. When he looked a while ago for these switches, Lutron was the only smart switch he could find at the time that didn't
That's
require
interesting.
it. Yeah.
I know nothing about wiring, so I don't even know what a neutral wire is. I wouldn't know what to look for if I opened up my panel.
Well, it's a good. So here's the deal. It's a good, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't. That's a really good question, Ken, for me to ponder before I start. Because if that's the case, and I can't put a smart switch on it, then Mike, I'm really just going to probably replace that. Even though that's fairly new, that's up there. The porch light. I'm gonna have to replace it with something, and so I may have to get a whole unit that's smart to do that, as well. So Ken, thanks for that.
You couldn't
thought.
just do a new bulb, a smart bulb.
Maybe that'd be a good look. It's one of those decorative bulbs, and it's pretty small.
Gotcha.
Now I know they have some smart bulbs that are smaller.
So that's why
or
the
maybe
switch
I don't
really
know.
would make sense for you.
Yeah, no, it would indeed. Kevin Schooner says, if you use Alexa or Amazon as your hub, do you lose automation if you lose the internet? The answer is yes.
Yes, 100% you do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
That was the whole Habitat pitch, right?
But, and so, yes, you lose your automation. Another reason, though, why it's great to have Sighthound. Because I do not lose my cameras if I lose internet. Because all of my cameras... So, okay, all the camp benefits. Yeah. It's local. I have a battery backup in my rack, which is where my MVR is. That battery backup is also backing up my switch. That 48-port switch is PoE, which is powering all my cameras. So my cameras will not go down in a power outage, and I don't need internet to be recording. So my battery will last, I think, 20 minutes. So, in my doomsday scenario, I see someone outside snipping my power because they know I got all this stuff and they're trying to break in. And they're like, oh, ha, 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 he's not going to be able to record any of this. And I have 20 minutes of recording them while they're gone because it's all local and because my cameras went on PoE.
You just reminded me of a Scooby-Doo episode when no, just kidding. One of the things, Habitat, so since we had them on, right, they were a local only solution, right, at that point that they weren't doing anything in the cloud. That's since changed. So your dashboard,
really?
your dashboard can now go to the cloud. However, you have both options. You can switch between local and in the cloud. That makes it really convenient if you don't want to remote desktop in, right, or set up a port forwarding or any of those kinds of things to get that done. They do now have a cloud option for Habitat. They've really made some progress on what they're doing. They're on their second gen Alexa skill, so they are definitely continuing to do some work over there at Habitat. But yes, if you got with some of these automation, if you don't have internet connectivity, you got to kind of watch for that as well.
And one other tip there, if you use port forwarding at all, I would really suggest to look, if you can, at setting up a reverse proxy. If you have a device, if you have a computer that's always on that can run Let's Encrypt as a reverse proxy, you can eliminate all of those port forwards with the reverse proxy. And it's amazing ever since I did it, because then it's just port 443 for SSL from your router. It's one port forward that's forwarded to that reverse proxy. And the reverse proxies, based off the subdomain, is just kicking it out to wherever it needs to go. So one little quick tip there. If you're doing any sort of port forwarding, check out a reverse proxy. It makes things, first of all, just a ton easier. And second of all, a little more secure. You're not popping holes in your router all over the place.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people know those common ports, because most people don't change them. Like, hey, Sighthound uses port 8848, and I know that. So I'm going to see if all those ports are open on routers all over, because I know that it leads to a Sighthound NVR if they've left it standard. Yeah. So running it through a reverse proxy, they no longer, it's just 443 that's open.
All right, so I might have to look into that, because I just opened that port today for Sighthound, so I could look at it through the app. Yeah.
And it's not, the odds of you actually, someone taking advantage of that are not high.
It's username and password protected too.
It is, and but it's us nerds who go that extra level of security when we can. And plus, then you get to use your really cool domain and just use subdomains. And like security.uyghur.com goes to my security cameras. That's not my actual URL, but and then vpn.uyghur.com goes to my VPN, and nextcloud.uyghur.com goes to my Nextcloud instance, and all of that is just because it's hitting that reverse proxy. And the reverse proxy says, "Hey, what's your subdomain? Okay, I send you to this computer. Oh, I send you to this server. Oh, I send you to that NVR, whatever it needs." So pretty cool.
One of the drawbacks I've found in all of this is not price. I dropped about 250 to do all this, these two cameras and the range extender, which isn't terrible. And I probably have 450 into all the cameras right now at retail. If I were to think about the various
Especially
five
because the
cameras,
quality on those Ring cameras is really good.
yeah, and I got them. I got good pricing on them. Let Slick Deals be your friend. Let Kevin Schoonover be your friend, man. That guy.
Right.
Like there are some great. Although I think Slick Deal was the one that I saw to get the original door. And man, I didn't think for a second when that deal came up. I snatched that thing with another Echo Show in there.
You guys have been posting those in the deals channel on the Discord. So if you guys
Yeah.
are looking for where those are posted
Online
now, we don't
deals.
use Facebook.
Yeah.
Online deals channel in the Discord is where they're posting those. I have that set. Actually, that's one of the channels that notifies me every time there's a post.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one to follow for sure. But one of the drawbacks to it is I'm checking my cams all day long now, right? And I know that will wear off.
It
Like
will,
I know eventually it will wear off. But today I was, hey, look, you want to see? So showing people at work, I went back in. I was going to take the day off, and then I was like, I need it. Like I had spent so much time doing home automation over this weekend that I was like, I need to go to work. I need to not think about home security or security cams or some of those kinds of things, so to speak. And so it was super good. So yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that. Michael Delaney says port forwarding, what a headache. Actually, so this is one area, Mike. Today I had accessed it from home, the Sighthound app. And so I took my internal IP and I put it in. It worked great. And of course it works great. It's behind the firewall.
Yeah.
Idiot. So I get to work and I can't figure out why it's not working because it's using an internal IP address.
Uh-huh.
So I ping my daughter, hey, go to a browser and type in what's my IP and tell me what it says. And so she's smart enough to just do that and give me the numbers back. Put that number in, boom. Authenticate, I am right in. And so, but then I realized at first not so. So I had to go into the Bitdefender box. Man, port forwarding on Bitdefender is super, super easy. Go in, say WAN and LAN, hit OK on that what you're trying to get to. In the case it's this box right here. Done. Fired right up. So port forwarding not difficult on Bitdefender. I know on some other routers it can be more complicated, especially when you think of like a PFSense, which has got a ton of options. Although I never found it particularly difficult on PFSense either. That was actually pretty easy.
And I think Sighthound will UPnP if you had that enabled. There's a checkbox in the in Sighthound where it says configure my router for me, and that's essentially a UPnP checkmark box. Like, do you want me to UPnP it? And it'll let you. That's a whole other conversation.
No,
UPnP,
it is.
Right?
It is.
We don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
But it was cool to come into Sighthound and be able to get access to that package cam.
Yeah.
That way and got it done. So it has. Go ahead.
Well, no, you just mentioned that you pinged your daughter. So, if you use a reverse proxy, obviously that means you use a domain. The one little thing that I use is it's real easy too. So if you're using Docker for Let's Encrypt, go ahead and add the DuckDNS Docker container. It's super simple, and that's all it does. Is it constantly is saying, "Hey, what's my IP? What's my IP?" and it's updating a domain for you. So my actual domain that I own forwards actually to the DuckDNS, and it's free. It's a free service. But then you have a little Docker container that's always updating. So, Jim, if while you're at work, your power went out at home and your router reset, and you got a new public IP, you wouldn't be worried about it because DuckDNS has been, updating that.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
it's a good way to do it.
well.
For now, port forwarding pretty easy for me, and I'm not. I
Yeah.
don't. I maybe have two. I think now I just have one.
You'll be out of projects one of these weekends. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna set up a reverse proxy. Let's run Docker.
Let's
and
get
see what
this
we can
thing.
do.
You'll have to mention it
Yeah.
a few more times for
I
that
will,
actually
I
to.
will. If you have Unraid, any of our listeners have Unraid, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
let's encrypt Docker container from community applications, DuckDNS from community applications. You will have it up and running in 5 minutes. I mean, it's super, super simple. And I think there's actually even a better one than the Let's Encrypt. I think it's like NGNX something that actually has a GUI. For Let's Encrypt, you kind of have to edit some comps files, but there's one with a GUI on it too that works really well.
Well, a couple weekends from now, the project
when the home automation allure has wore off. I'll get you to set up a reverse proxy.
Yeah, well, and now I'm got my eyes on light bulbs, and I'm just getting. I think the next project is getting this new security light set up, figured out with the porch lights, so that I have. I honestly, with LED, I don't care if they're on all the time. Like I really don't care. So.
Same. Yeah.
It's one of those kinds of things. It's better for my cameras if the lights are on all the time. I would love to be able to set both of them to sun up, sundown kind of automation though, or this one.
Lights, you said?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
this has
those,
got.
yeah.
I think this has the setting automatically. So what I might just do is replace the porch light. Again, not terribly expensive, cheaper than some home automation devices, and just replace the light. Like
Yeah.
with that's got a sensor built into it. So that might be the easiest thing to do. Then leave the switch on all the time. In both things, just respond to sun up, sundown in motion. So
There's nothing worse when you have a fully automated house than when guests come and they switch a switch off. It's the most annoying. All my lights are pretty much smart lights. Like, whoa, don't touch the light.
Yeah,
You
don't touch
ask our assistant to do that for you. Okay.
we have an assistant.
We have someone that does that for us. Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Lady A.
Yeah,
Would you
yeah, talk to
please
my people.
turn the light on?
And like, well,
Yeah.
what do you call it? This is annoying. I'm just gonna use the switch. I'm like, fine. For the weekend, just use the switch, and then I'll flip all these switches back on when you leave.
Well, even though I said I didn't want to talk about this right now. Tony said reading right now new GE switches and dimmers that don't require a neutral. So
Was
maybe
it Google or Alexa just partnered with GE? I think one of them just partnered with those smart switches, and they're like it's a deep integration with those. Can't remember. Thought I saw that in the news
I'm
somewhere.
gonna have to do some research. We'll take this to Discord, or we'll take it to
go
Facebook,
to the smart home channel.
or maybe we'll do it on Twitter. If you want to hit me on Twitter at Jay Collison, we can talk about it there. I'd love to. I'm not going to make that decision very, very quickly, but I will be making it in the next couple weeks. So I'd love to hear about that, Mike.
First of all, here's one we didn't talk about in the beginning. Another
Joe,
one from
thank you.
Tajowski.
Yeah.
The Ozark
Lager.
Lager. Man, that's a good beer too.
Hard work, honest beer.
So
It's-
now
it's pretty great.
tonight I've already had 3 different beers from Joe. I've had the s'mores, I've had the honey Bach, and then I've had the whatever this is.
You've had them
Ozark
all.
Lager.
You've had
Yeah.
them all. Yeah, Joe, thanks
had
for
to get
again.
on.
Thanks again. If you have, by the way, if you have local beers you want to send us to
Oh, we are
drink
more
and
than
try
willing
on
to
the show,
drink them.
it's Jim at the Average Guy .tv. We
Easiest
would
way to
love,
get a shout out from us is to send us beer.
love to have your beer. Mike, we woke up on the 1st to no guide center data in the media center box, and I won't spend a ton of time on this. You've never used that, but
Nope.
we have a lot of media center folks who did. The guys over at Entertainment 2.0, Josh and Richard, had talked a bunch about this in the most recent Entertainment 2.0 podcast. But for me, it was a reality. I didn't know how it was going to end. It ended with Sarah saying, oops, there goes the guide data. Now, I've been prepping her for months, saying, hey, at some point, this is going to stop. I'd even set up a couple different solutions. We tried YouTube TV and Plex and some of those others. And fortunately, over the last couple months, I've been really working with the Plex solution and have been trying different ways of setting it up and making it more efficient and some of those other kind of things. And so when she said, hey, guide data's gone, I'm like, I'm ready for you. It was maybe the first time ever I was like, hey, I am ready. I got a Plex solution. Let's sit down. I want to show you how to do this. And so what I ended up doing is taking the Plex, the good one, the Plex Pro or whatever that is. And I actually USB'd a
What do you mean the good one? Sorry.
there's like the little round ones now that are like
For
they have
Plex?
some new ones. No. NVIDIA Shield.
Oh,
Sorry.
you said Plex Pro. I'm like,
Oh, did I?
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
and I was like, oh, what?
NVIDIA
There's
Shield
a new
Pro.
version of Plex? Okay, gotcha.
Whatever the one that is good enough to do the
server portion. of Plex.
server part of Plex. Yeah, they got
Can
these
that
rounds.
transcode?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So, put a 1 terabyte SSD drive on there for fast, like for really fast read and writes on there. What mostly reads. And
Mainly from the database. The database on Plex, if you have it on a spinner, is awful.
yeah,
Like,
it can be
awful.
so. It was even worse on the Drobo. So
Oh, like,
I
because the Drobo doesn't have an SSD in it,
No.
does it?
Mm.
Right, so it's all
well,
that, the
this has an
database-
SSD, but it was still not. It doesn't. It's not ideal for
Right.
it. Not ideal for
I
it.
would almost run it on like a desktop that you have there.
Well, I was trying to go really low power. I was trying to go low profile.
Well, but I mean, one that you're already running it on, right? Like, because then you would have full transcode. Like, if you have a machine on there, that's what
yeah, actually, it runs really well on the Shield.
That's great. I just
Really,
remember you were
really
having
well.
trouble
Yeah,
with
I was.
certain platforms not
Yeah.
like
Well,
buffering and
on the Shield and you kind of figured out like most of those problems were I was trying to watch it on the Xbox, and the Xbox Plex, right? Not good.
to my detriment, because the Xbox is my main media box in my living room, and if you're live TV, okay, regular TV is or regular recorded stuff, movies, TV shows, totally fine. Live TV on the Xbox for some reason is awful.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
found that? Like movies,
Yeah.
great. TV
Yeah.
shows, awesome. Live TV, complete dog shit.
It's
It's just like it's awful. It's so bad, and I have no idea why. It's the only part of that app that is terrible. And people have said it for a while, and I didn't want to believe it, or I thought it would get better, and it just never did on the
Yeah.
Xbox. And sadly, because that's still my main media box.
Well, the NVIDIA Shield running Plex would buffer to the Drobo, and even when I put a spinner on that thing in USB mode, it was slow. The SSD, man, it eliminated any
Did it?
because I can't have her waiting.
Yeah.
It has to go fast.
Right.
So I sat her down, and I said, okay, here's like your remote got infinitely easier, like left, right, up, down, hit this, back, and volume. Whereas before we had that Media Center remote, and it had buttons. Like it must have had 80 buttons on that Media Center remote.
Right.
You could never find the one that you want when the TV's too loud. It was always a hassle. So she's like, "Oh, I got that figured out." And I'm like, "Okay, here's how you schedule shows now." The one big drawback with Media Center, you could watch while you're recording. With Plex, you can't do that. Either you're recording or you're watching live.
You can.
You can't start a recording and watch it at the same time. You can watch it on I think you can go back and watch it on another channel, but you can't watch that recording of it. Anyways.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
Oh, correct. You can't start watching the recording while it's recording.
Right.
You can watch it live and be
Yeah.
recording.
Yeah.
But yes, correct.
You can't go back to the beginning of the
No,
recording.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So, and that was like Media Center was great at that. But so I said, so that's not going to work. She's like, okay, that's not a problem. Really? Okay. And then I said, and you can now schedule and on your phone or on the computer. And she's like, oh, I can just, and she loves
Or even just watch on your phone.
yeah, or
Yeah.
watch on the computer. Like, she's like, I'm never going to watch on the computer. She's like, but scheduling the shows, she loves the grid guide on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, I'm going to schedule everything here, and then I'll just watch it there. She's like, this is going to be great. So, okay, so we're in full test mode. It hasn't even been a week yet. She's in it, but I haven't heard one complaint. Seems to be working. We set up all our shows to record.
So it's on the Shield, and you said, is the recordings even going to the SSD?
Yeah, yeah.
So how much space do you got?
Well, a terabyte.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, and it's super fast. I mean, it is just, and there's no heat. There's nothing, like I don't have a big computer up there blazing away.
Yeah.
I don't. In fact, I'm going to leave the Media Center computer up probably for a month, just it's Windows 7, right?
Right.
Just so it's there. And then one day I'm going to say, hey, you need this thing anymore? And she's going to say no. And down it comes. And then I'm,
Or burst mining.
no, it's not that great of a box.
Yeah.
But that's a great thought. That's a super great thought.
Yeah.
And now for more perspective. No, and I think I'm gonna actually take the Xbox out there so she can watch movies because that's been she loses the DVD player, and I'm not playing the Xbox enough here to make it worth leaving here. It'd be better on the big TV anyways. And if I ever want a game, there's plenty of time when I can do that. So the other night, this last night, Sammy and I were enjoying a beverage on the deck. I mentioned this early in the show. We came in and we were laughing about some YouTube stuff, and I said, "Hey, let's just go watch it." And it was super great to go start the YouTube, cast it to the NVIDIA Shield, turns on the TV and everything, just starts showing it, and it was drop dead simple. And I think we're really going to enjoy that NVIDIA Shield on the TV, replacing the computer. Don't have to worry about updates for the most part. Don't have to worry about antivirus for the most part.
I
really
you
like it.
use Plex, it sounds like that's a perfect machine
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Because even on the hard drive, you don't have a big movie library you're storing. It's literally just for TV shows.
Right,
It's
right.
what's more than enough. You're not having a bunch of users hit this thing at the same
Right.
time, right?
Right.
So that does sound like it's perfect.
Yeah,
And man,
yeah.
you're so right. I have never used the YouTube cast feature until all of a sudden I'm like, wait, the Xbox I think has that.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to use the remote on the Xbox to like
Yeah.
search. I'm like, wait, I can do this on my phone and then cast it. Oh my gosh. And you can queue them. I had no idea about the queue. So I'm just like scrolling queue. And also I just sat there and had hours of content available. Oh, it was great.
Oh, no, it's awesome.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
never used it before because I didn't know the Xbox YouTube app had that. I should have thought of that, but I accidentally tapped it on my phone and it said, "Hey, Xbox." I'm like, that's a destination.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I have about 6 destinations in the house. Like I can literally cast to just about everything. My son
are
brought
they?
his. What do you mean?
Wait, what are the devices that you can cast?
So my son has a TV, a big 55-inch.
Oh.
That's got Chromecast built into it. NVIDIA Shield's got a Chromecast built into it.
Okay.
I had a Chromecast on it. I've got a Chromecast down here on this box. So that's 4. I might have one more somewhere that I can't remember what.
Whoa. Look at that. I had no idea some of these were, all the Roku sticks.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
opened mine up. I have 3 Roku sticks. Kitchen display, what's that? Oh, that's the Google Hub.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another one.
Yeah, there's another
Apparently
one.
my TV natively, I had no idea was one.
Yeah. Yep. Your smart TV's
And an
probably got
Xbox.
Chromecast. Yeah.
Because that Xbox is on, and this one, once I turn it on, it would probably show up too.
It's a whole,
Interesting.
dude. It's a whole new world. Like it's just a different. Like it within one weekend, we all of a sudden got security cameras everywhere, and, I think on the Shield, I might even be able to use the Google Assistant to see any of my cameras that are
Now that would be huge.
Google enabled.
So is the Shield owned by Google now? Or what do you mean?
No, but it's
It runs
Android.
Android?
It runs Android TV,
Nah,
and it has
that's
the
pretty
Google Assistant in it.
Yeah.
So,
You'll have to let me know if that works.
because you
I've been
could from your
looking
TV.
for a replacement for that Xbox in the living room,
Mm-hmm.
and a Shield might be my answer. I was thinking Apple TV because the interface there is just gorgeous, but they're so expensive. How much is a Shield?
179.
Okay, so probably the same price as an Apple
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Huh.
And watch for them on Slick Deals because you'll see they run deals on them all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
set an alert
interesting.
up on Slick Deals
Okay.
for it. So, Mike, you got a pair of Apple AirPod Pro.
Yeah.
Did you get those for Christmas, or
I
was that
did,
a?
yeah,
Did
it
you
was a
were you
Christmas
Santa
present.
for yourself?
No. It was a Christmas present.
Yeah?
And these are the earbuds I've been waiting for. Just plain and simple. So I didn't know I was waiting for them. I didn't know this is what I wanted. When I saw them at first, I'm like, man, those look really cool. Now that I have them and I've been using them on a daily basis, I like over the ear for the airplane. But besides that, I hated wearing my Bose anywhere else, just because they're big and clunky. And even in my office, I didn't want to wear them because I don't know, it just the look and the feel. I don't know. So having true noise canceling, active noise canceling, not just passive noise canceling, active noise canceling earbuds. Man, Jim, how long has it been since I praised Apple on a product? This is weird, right? Like I haven't really in a long time, and I think they nailed the pros.
Yeah.
These things are and worth. I would still be happy with them if I had paid the price myself. Although they were a Christmas gift, if I had paid the price, I would be totally happy with them. First of all, the transparent mode is super interesting too. So what these earbuds have is, first of all, you can turn them completely off noise canceling. That's really weird. It's like it's like having AirPods in that's sealed in your ears, so hearing anything outside of you hear like a muffled version. So if I had them in off mode, which it doesn't even default to at all, you actually have to actively switch it to off mode. You hear your music. It's just like having these earbuds I have in my ears right now, the regular Apple earbuds in, but they're sealed. So everything else around you is kind of muffled, and they're not noise canceled, so it's a weird setting. Then there's noise canceling, which is great with earbuds. I mean, obviously it's not Bose over-the-ear quality, just because it's not over the ears. But man, I was shocked at the quality of the noise canceling they're able to achieve with a sealed earbud. So that was really cool. But Jim, it's the transparency mode that is awesome. So this transparency mode, you have sealed earbuds that usually give you a buffer. Then they use the microphones on the outside to almost amplify not amplify, but just allow the outside sound in. You feel like you have nothing in your ear.
Really?
It's the weirdest experience, the transparency mode, because you feel like you have nothing in, but then all of a sudden you can hear your music. And the pros have the feature where they'll announce your messages, so it'll wait. It'll use the microphones, and it'll wait till you're not in a conversation. So if you and I were talking right now, it's not going to alert me. I stop talking for a bit, you stop talking, I'm in a quiet mode, it'll say, hey, you have a new message from Hannah. And it'll read the message to you. I didn't know it had that feature. It's a feature I didn't actually knew it even had until I had it in my ears. But with that transparency mode, I, on a Saturday afternoon, will usually have them in around the house. Because I can hear my family, I can hear stuff, I get the notifications, I can hear music if I want to turn them on, my notifications run through there. If I want to watch a YouTube video, then I am the only one hearing it, it's not everyone. That transparency mode is pretty rock solid. I really like them.
So it's just, is it letting the sound through, or is it actually replicating the sound? I mean,
well, you got to think about it. It's a sealed earbud, so it's not just. I mean, there's no way for it to like break the seal. So it's literally using the microphone,
right?
Because it's not opening up any physical things.
Does it sound different? Because it's
totally natural.
Really? Okay.
That's the weird. It sounds like you just. It sounds like you don't have earbuds in.
Are they uncomfortable? I never liked.
So they have 3 different fits for the. They comes with 3 different sized. Whatever they're called, the silicone thing that seals in your ear. And I'm one size on one and a different size on the other.
You have lopsided ears
because it has an ear test that it has a fit test, and you run it and it plays sound and it can hear itself, so it tries to tell you. And one was really uncomfortable, and so I switched it. I'm like, is it weird to use one size and the other? I'm like, no. And so my right ear is bigger than my left ear apparently. So I use 2 different ones.
That's not going to make you feel awkward for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm not self-conscious about that at all. So,
these are $250, right? Retail, $250 for these AirPod Pros from Apple. All right, so my Quiet Comfort 35s were $350. I could probably sell those for a couple $100 now. They're pretty new, right?
Well, because I think you use yours mainly for travel, right?
Yeah, I do. I only use them for travel.
And I don't know. Verdict is out for me because I haven't put on an airplane. I don't know if these are going to perform as well on an airplane. Now, the reviewers have said, they're. I mean, it's just they are different, right? They're not going to be your Bose. You really need to go to the Apple Store and try them and be like, oh, interesting. Because these, for me, are more of I have no problem having those in my ears pretty much all day. Whereas Bose, if you walk around with those on your head at the office, I've done it before, but it almost gives everyone the idea that you don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Earbuds, it's like I could still probably wave you down and you'll pull one out real quick. You're probably you have the cans on your ears. It's a little bit more of a I'm not looking to talk to anyone kind of vibe. Yeah. So I will let you know when I take my first. I'll take them on a plane in March. Okay. I'll go to San Diego and I'll let you know how they work.
I'm $250 into cameras, not AirPods at the moment. So it'll be good to give me some time to rebuild the cache. But I would be I am a big earbud fan as opposed to the cans. Now the cans work better than anything else as far as noise canceling goes. So when I was on an airplane, that's the best solution. But if we get to the point where we've got in-ear noise canceling that's at the same value as over-the-ear, like those Bose, I am all in. I would, because of my glasses and I got a big head.
And they could be.
And that thing sits on your head and it hurts after a while. Like, I'd love to go earbuds. And I'll be honest, if the latency is low on them, I'd even use them here in podcasting, where I'd put them in, I'd bring them in. Especially if they'll let the ambient sound through, because that's what I want to hear. I want to, when they're in, I do want to hear my own voice come back through on them.
That's the other part about noise canceling. Usually I don't like, and so these you get the best of both worlds. You're on a plane, turn on full noise canceling mode. Anywhere else, really, I'm usually in transparency mode all the time, even though it has the noise canceling. There's not many times when I need true noise canceling.
Right.
Sometimes if I'm in my office and I really want to zone out the world, I'll turn them on. But most time I'm in transparency mode. So it's kind of nice to, with one headset, I mean, there's not many where you can switch from being able to hear the outside world and not. And I would never use Bose headphones on a podcast because you're probably yelling at the microphone because you can't hear yourself. Right?
Yeah,
while they're
no,
on.
you can't.
Yeah.
No, you're only hearing. It's a weird. For me, it's so weird because I've used earbuds for so long. For me, it's the purest audio sound I can get. That are both in-ear monitors and the ambient sound that of my own voice that I'm hearing around me.
Yeah.
I really like that experience. Earbuds had made some Bluetooth speakers or some Bluetooth earbuds, I think, at some point, and I think I remember the latency was so bad in them. Those early versions, those early Bluetooth versions, had really bad latency built into them.
Yeah.
I think they're getting that mostly fixed. I interviewed somebody on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and they were using. It was in Japan, of all places, and they were using AirPods, and he goes, no latency on this end.
And
I'm
was he using the microphone from them as well?
He was, and it actually sounded pretty good.
Did it really?
Yes.
We'll have to do
Yeah.
a test in that sometime.
I
before
wouldn't
a
do
show
it as a
sometime.
host. I wouldn't do
Right.
it as the host, but
Well, but as a yeah, but just to test it and see.
Yeah.
So these are another option too. So I've gone with these for something like podcasting.
and what are those?
So these are the cheap versions. They're Samsung. I mean, they're cheap,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm just talking about the style. They're open
Right,
back.
right.
So this is
Yes.
open to the inside. So when I put these on, it doesn't sound like I'm in a
Right.
fishbowl.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're still nice big
Not
drivers.
like, yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so they work out pretty well.
One of the things, and we'll wrap the conversation with this. One of the great things those Quiet Comforts are good at is the sound isolation on the microphone is so good. So when you're on a conference call with somebody and you're in a really busy space, it really does a nice job of only getting your voice while you're
Oh,
on
really?
that call. Yes.
I have the old versions that don't have a
Yeah.
microphone, so that's good to know. I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
used them on a conversation.
That's a big selling point for
Okay.
Bose on those, is that you can be in a really busy office and it's only going to pick up your voice if you're on the call with them. So that's kind of another, it's kind of another reason maybe to have them. But
Other Jim says, believe me,
Yeah.
if you walk around with Q-tips hanging from your ears, people think the same thing. He's probably referring back to when I said the Bose make people think you want to talk to them.
yeah,
Maybe.
I don't think.
But they also think
so.
you're super cool. So,
Other Jim, I kind of agree with you, and I kind of don't. Like, I'm getting kind of used to people walking around with them on, and you don't look as dorky as if you have a pair of cans on. I've watched people walking around, doing things, and you're like, but you got the earbuds in. It's kind of like, okay. So I don't know. Maybe things are shifting.
it's like, don't talk to me, but I'm still
along those
approachable.
lines. In the Facebook group and in the Discord group, I put out a question this week about NordVPN and about Ease US and some of their products. And both those companies have approached me about sponsorship for this, and I've been really, really, really careful about who I kind of let into this space as far as that. And so if you have feedback on any of those companies, and by the way, the Facebook group has actually been really, really helpful on this, especially on the NordVPN side of giving me some feedback. I'm kind of working with them a little bit. I'm not giving them I'll take your money and I'll say whatever you want about it. Yeah. I'm kind of like the Ease US guys. I said, hey, I want to use your sync product because remember a couple, 6 months, a year ago, I said, hey, what are we using for sync these days? And I ended up on Always Sync that I bought a license for, and that I'm currently using to sync files. What am I syncing? I'm syncing my backups. So I've got the Moro data box that has all my podcast stuff on it. Then I want to sync that over to the Drobo just as a backup copy. So I have a local backup copy of it as well. I landed on Always Sync. It's been great. Version 19. They've been around forever. I think I paid the $30 or whatever it is for lifetime of Always Sync. But I started using this Ease US sync tool, and man, it's drop dead simple, and it does a pretty good job. It lacks the UI. I'm going to be working with it over the next couple weeks. But if you got any feedback on those, send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. I may try and work some kind of deal with them that they give us a discount code or something for listeners. But before I did any of that stuff, I kind of wanted to make sure I wasn't taking on kind of a doofus company that was going to screw us in the process.
Smart.
So yeah. And I don't really want to take money from them, just to be honest with you. If I can get you guys discounts, that's probably what I'll do. That way you guys can kind of decide what we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll move on. There's no sense in, I always feel weird and obligated when I take money. So it's a lot easier if I just do it for free. Jim at theaverageguy.tv. If you want to send me your feedback, you can do it in the Discord group or in the Facebook group. We're doing that as well. And so appreciate that. Next week, Paul Braren is back, and Paul has got a lot of cool stuff to talk about and a lot of things going on in Paul Braren's life. And so you'll want to come back. Mike, I think we got a pretty dynamite list.
We got a good lineup coming up.
It is indeed. So you're not going to want to miss us live at all, at least until, I don't know, this time next year. We're going to have a ton of stuff coming along. Paul, like I mentioned, Paul's coming back. Dwayne Robinson's coming back. Jay Madison is coming back. And we're going to talk some hardware. Actually, 2 weeks in a row. Ryan is going to CES and is going to be covering CES. I'll try to get a hold of the link to where they're doing that and get that out on our social media site. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do it that way. We'll be promoting that while he's at CES, and he'll be coming back here in early February talking about it as well. Ryan's in the chat room right now and has been on the show before, Ryan Kirshner. And then Joel after that. Joel is, and Ryan will be on the show in February talking about CES, so that's super cool. Joel from Life Door will be back as well. If you've got a guest idea, someone you want to be on, someone you know that you want to be on, you've got something that you want to talk about and be on, contact me, Jim at theaverageguy.tv, and we will get you in there as well. We'll have a little bit of, you got some time for some post show tonight, Mike? So can we talk a little Untangle in the post show?
Yes, we should.
Would that be cool? Okay, so we'll talk, because Mike, like he always does, has moved on to something new. So
I've reverted. It's
okay.
reverted on routers. If you guys are interested in routers and my saga with always switching routers, stick around the post show.
All right, we'll cover that here in the post show. Don't forget, if you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. Get you there. We got a $5 plan. Super easy, and we appreciate anything that you do for us that helps us do what we do. I mentioned the Discord and the Facebook groups. Just go to the averageguy.tv, then /Facebook or /Discord. We'll get you there as well. You can send me an email, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. Find me on Twitter at Jake Collison. Mike is at Uyghur Tech if you want to find him there. You can also, if you need hosting for anything, Christian has really fired up. And, man, the speed over there is ridiculous at the moment. And Maple Grove Partners. So you get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and trust. And he's wanting to take on folks in the community. Plans start at $10. 5 more if you need email. MapleGrovePartners.com gets you there as well. Download our mobile app, HomeGadgetGeeks.com. And I think that's it. By the way, we are still super strong on HelloFresh. I just had to say it because I haven't said it in a couple weeks. I got a bunch of coupon codes. We just made 2 dinners this week that were just amazing. And Mike, I just don't get tired of it. I made roasted zucchini that had Tuscan heat spices on. We put panko and mozzarella on top. And I never would have done that. Like roasted couscous. Never would have done that. Like I just don't. The sauces alone that I make with HelloFresh are like, oh my God, I never would have thought. I'm not a sauce guy. I'm now a sauce guy.
Are you a squirrel guy? You said you had a squirrel in your backyard. I could come give you some awesome squirrel recipes too.
You'd have to.
We'll soak it in some buttermilk, and we'll get it.
You would have to take care. You'd have to take care of them.
Air rifle out.
You'd have to take care of them for me. The cats have taken care of all the rabbits.
And have a great dinner at the same time. I think that's a double win if we.
I don't know. I'm not sure. If you need, if you want the box to come and not the squirrel, send me an email. Get you a whole week for free, and I'd love to have you try it out. Again, no compensation for me in that. I just don't let 2020 be the year you eat plain. Like quit eating plain food. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I'm not sure. They don't endorse that, but that's
bad. Yeah, but it's a good. Yeah, don't listen to my recipes on squirrel. You should definitely do HelloFresh instead. It's way better.
Say, hey.
I've had both. Trust me, I've had both. I would definitely go with HelloFresh if I was picking one.
Hey, Lady A, show me some squirrel recipes. Yeah. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. We'll do a little bit of post show. We want to thank those who came out live doing that tonight. It always matters to us that when you're here. Appreciate you guys in the chat room. Stay around for a little bit of a post show. With that, we'll say goodnight, everybody. Squirrel.
I'm serious. Have you tried it?
No, I know you are. No,
I know you are. Just like that's the problem. The problem is you're serious.
No, I know you're serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Soak it in some buttermilk.
Hey, I finally got to
put
see
in
it
the
in
flour.
person, by the way. That was kind of nice. We have
Gosh, the
not.
schedule. No kidding.
It's just been ridiculous. I even
It's
offered
the
to come
holiday
over.
season. I'm gonna blame it on that.
I know.
And I got
I know.
both boys' birthdays in there.
We gotta. I want to be there when you smoke that cigar, by the way. But we'll have to figure out how to get that
I think
done.
we should meet up at Havana again one of these days.
Yeah, just let me know. My Fridays are probably easier to get than yours.
Well,
so.
I can hear something upstairs. Anyway, I'm coming back up from Kansas City next Friday, and I think I'll get up here pretty early. So
Yes,
I could be up
yes.
here by like 3:30.
The answer would be
4.
yes.
Maybe we do that. That doesn't sound like a bad option.
Just ping me earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So I know.
Yeah.
Just so I know. And I can bring my Herfador. I don't know what
Well, I'm
that
just
thing's
hoping I
called.
don't ruin the one you gave me between now and then by not having it in one. Is a fridge humid? Can I put it in the fridge?
No, don't put it in the fridge.
Don't put it in the fridge.
No, just leave it out. It'll be fine. I should have kept that thing until we got together. That's okay. I got this Herfador,
Oh, that's right.
which
that
is
one.
super cool. And then it's empty now. It just has my lighter in there, but these are kind of handy. You could we'll talk off
Yeah.
off show about that. Okay, you switched to Untangle.
I did. Okay,
Back.
so
You switched
yes.
back.
Well, you guys know I've been on a saga of routers, and mainly just because I like switching things. Like, it's just I get bored, so I switch it up. But this one actually had a reason behind it, and so I have gone from pfSense to Untangle, back to pfSense, over to Unify on their USG. So I had their USG, which is their basic Unify router, and I ran that for a while. And honestly, the big attraction for me to run the USG was having one great dashboard that controlled absolutely everything, and it did. From my router to my access points to my clients' sites as well. I just had to open up the Unify controller, and I had access to absolutely everything. So it was good. There was just so much. After you have gone, if you are coming to USG from a Netgear router, from your basic, internet provider's router, you're not going to notice any difference. But once you have had the power of pfSense or Untangle, especially when it comes to the deep packet inspection, the intrusion prevention, the filtering of websites, everything that Jim, probably your box does this as well, right? Because which box do you run? You run the
Bitdefender box.
and it does all that stuff.
Yeah, it does.
So if you've had those features before, going to the USG is tough because you're really giving up everything. You can turn some of that on, especially the IPS, the intrusion prevention system. But if you do that, it limits the internet hard limits. Like, not like, well, the CPU might start to max out and get hot. No, it hard limits. It just in the code says 85 megabits per second is your max internet download speed. Like, well, I'm paying for 300. So it just became this time where I wanted more of the protection. I missed the protection. Untangle, I would say, is like a midway between Unify and pfSense. pfSense is like the all-out. You have all the options. You have everything available to you. You run Suricata for all your IPS and DPS stuff. And Untangle is more of you still have some limitations, and there's some stuff that maybe some of you advanced network admins might miss from pfSense when you run Untangle. I think for the home guy, right, Jim, for the you and me's of the world who are tech savvy but still want a badass router, I think Untangle is probably where it's at. It has most of the features that we're gonna want. Great dashboard, great metrics, great intrusion prevention. Filtering is made super easy. It's really the dashboard part of Untangle that makes it a great option for the average guy. So what I did was I actually grabbed another Dell Optiplex. Those things are just awesome, Jim. I don't know why I like them so much. I shouldn't, because the power consumption is probably a little bit high for a router.
They are.
I think mine runs at 30 watts, which is actually really high for a router. But it's worth it for me. So I got a Dell Optiplex for $50 off eBay, and it has an i3 in it, like way overpowered for an Untangle router. But an i3, 4 gigs of RAM, and I put Untangle on it, and it runs like a dream. And I think some of the problems I had with Untangle before is because I was running it on really underpowered hardware, really super old hardware. So I think now that I have it on a somewhat modern machine, It just makes all the difference in the world. So yeah, I think it was a number one because I was bored, but number two really because the USG is a great router, but don't expect anything more out of it than routing. It gives you that great dashboard if you've already got Unify stuff, but I can tell you, I do not miss the Unified dashboard at all. I still use the dashboard for my access points and for my clients' sites. I do not miss having to open the Untangle because really, what I was going to the Unified dashboard for wasn't my access points. It was my router information, my up and down, what's the current usage, and so now that I just go to the Untangle dashboard instead of the Unified dashboard. So it works really, really well. I'm happy I went back. Also, another reason for saving every single config file you ever use and not deleting them. Because all I did was grab an old config file from like 9 months ago when I was using Untangle and fire it back up, and I was right back up to where I started. I didn't need to config it because I save all of those. Anytime I do any sort of change, whether it was pfSense, Untangle, Unify, I back up those configs every time I make changes. One, in case the config file does something weird, like an update. But two, I switch systems a lot. So I could have deleted those Untangle files when I got rid of Untangle, but I know myself, and I knew I was going to be back. And so I saved those files. It makes it really easy to go back and grab them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my story.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's one of those. I am like this, except I don't move as fast as you. It takes me a little bit longer, but I'll do something for a while, and then it's like that Habitat. Like I tried it, it was okay. I set it aside. A couple months later, I brought it back out.
Yeah.
Tried some new stuff. Didn't really click. Put it away. Then I started getting into this, and all of a sudden, some more things made sense. Like, oh, yeah. So I brought it out. All of a sudden, things started making sense with it, and you're like, oh, this is what it means when you have more devices available, and they had more drivers in there, and so you kind of come back around to it. Or, I mean, there's a variety of things where I'm like, okay, I'm going to set this up and do it this way. And then you set it up, and half the fun is setting it up. And then you let it run for a while, and you're like, I'm going to tear this whole thing down and do something different because I want to figure it out again.
It is. Yeah, it's the setup that's fun. Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate for me. The setup and the switching is half the fun. That was a good one tonight, though. I enjoyed it. Had a lot to talk about. Man, we could have gone we went an hour, I think, 25.
Yeah, I knew it would be. I told you we'd do most of it on
and we could have gone. We skipped some of the things. We could have gone even longer.
Yeah. Well, it's just fun to have it up. And again, it's one of those kinds of things where it's up and working now. It won't be as exciting as, the exciting stuff is kind of over. I need to install this light, which isn't, technical. Yeah. I need to think through, do I need another porch light? I want to see how this one works and do some testing with it. And, right now those lights are on full time. I just turned it on now, and I'll turn them off in the morning when I leave. And they throws a pretty bright light onto the driveway. Gives me a really good view out of the driveway cam that's out there. And the porch light really lights up the cam for the stick-up for the doorbell.
The doorbell, gotcha.
For the doorbell cam, so that looks great, and so it's one of those things where it's just kind of tweaking and figuring some things out. What's the best location for them, and how do they need to? Sometimes the lights of the house mess things up, or
a reflection off your house. I have one camera that I had to move a little bit because the headlamps or the headlights on cars as they drove by reflected just right off the side, and it thought it was a person every time. Yeah. Moved it just ever so slightly, and it didn't catch the reflection that way.
No. Sometimes you put these cameras behind glass, right? You put them in the house; they're meant to be indoors. Well, that wipes out your infrared for sure because you can't turn that on because it'll shine back, especially if it's going through double pane glass for sure. And so it gets a little messy. Like I didn't realize, and thanks, Brian. Thanks for that comment. He said, great show. I didn't realize just how great it was to have cameras out in the elements that could, that could see this.
Yeah.
And so, you got to go out there and clean them off every once in a while.
Don't buy a PoE wired dome camera or bull camera because you'll be like, oh, whoa, this is great. No batteries, weather resistant.
I know. I'd leave them on 24/7 I just stare at them.
Yeah,
waiting
they
for
run into
something.
Sighthound really well.
Yeah.
Does your on Sighthound for you, or sorry, Sighthound StreamYard? Does your live comments keep like disappearing and then coming back? Oh, mine will all of a sudden just go away and it'll only have the private chat tab, and then 3 seconds later it'll just come right back up.
Huh.
Weird. I didn't know if it was a system thing or.
Could be. I don't know. No, they're doing some pretty weird visualization or virtualization stuff to make all this work.
Gotcha.
So
Works really well.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh yeah. So Ryan says he's had that happen on his StreamYard. Yep, exactly what it is. Ryan pops away, and then live shows back up. Yep, the live comments pop away.
Yeah, they may be
And they
struggling on the guest side with some permissions or something.
The live comments is because you can tell. I don't think Jim, at least maybe 2 weeks ago when I was on, the YouTube signal wasn't here. So there must be the integration of the live chat.
It can
because
be.
it pulls that chat from everywhere.
That API.
Right? You're on.
Yeah.
Because can't you just start
Yeah.
selecting stuff where you want to send your video?
Yeah.
Right? I want to send
Yeah.
to Facebook.
I
Also.
only
so
send
would
it to
just show-
YouTube.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, well, that's kind of interesting, though. Now that you have the capability, have you thought about just boom, 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 and we have integrated comments?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because you can't comment back. You have to have all those open anyways if you're going to comment back on them.
Yeah, but the nice part is we can
And-
talk to them.
Yeah, everybody knows to come here. It's
They do.
It's just a lot
And
easier.
you've always said, too, we're very happy with our audience. We don't have any trolls. Everyone was nice. They're really respectful in chat.
Options equal confusion.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to subscribe. So I'm going to paste Ryan's YouTube channel for Think Computers.
Yeah,
in
and
the
is Ryan,
chat
is that
room.
the one that you did the live show from? That was really good. I was actually able to catch Jim. I was online one night when I'm rarely in front of my computer to watch stuff live, but they were streaming live. And it was fun to catch them live and actually be part of the chat. It was a really good show. And then they jumped over to Twitch, and they were streaming some Apex afterwards, so I joined them there as well. Ryan, what night is that usually? I totally forgot what night that was. They do a fun stream. It's a good time. And they're reviewing a lot of hardware. If you're a hardware junkie, I think they were talking about a chair and a case and all sorts of really just stuff right up my alley.
Well, I'm going to subscribe to the YouTube channel so I kind of can follow, because sometimes that's just as hard, like to know all the things that are going on. And then I'll watch his site during CES as well.
I can't click on that.
Because
Copy and paste
wait a minute, maybe.
This just must be StreamYard because I'll just copy and paste it.
No, I think it's, let's just try. Hold on, I'll try.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
There he is.
Copy and paste worked.
Yes, it did.
Okay, let's try that. That link should work.
And I was subscribed. I was making sure I was. Yeah, it just doesn't click in StreamYard. That's why.
Okay.
Wednesday nights.
Oh,
There we
yeah.
go.
Okay.
So Ryan says Wednesday nights they go straight into streaming on Twitch. So pretty cool.
Oh, on Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay. We appreciate you guys listening live tonight. Thanks for doing that, and I appreciate you guys' support in all that you do, and a lot of great conversation going on out there. Even some new smart home. Schoonover has already recommended a switch, a nano switch, for automating lights or existing outlets. Z-Wave. So I have to check those out. We will. What?
Alex's comment. He said, sidebar, his kids were watching him tonight, and they were blown away when his comment popped up on the screen.
Oh, you mean like this?
Just, there we go again.
Boom. Alex, good to have you out here tonight as well. Thanks for those comments. That was a good one. Yeah, it's like he's a celebrity now. because he's on TV. We will see you guys. Mike, hang tight for me 1 sec. We will see you guys next week. Paul Barron back. You know Paul. He will do a great job. So we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend.